Hey, what's going on, everybody? I have three things to talk about in my video today. First thing is I made a little deal called the Fictional Genius. Short little zine, couple pages long, couple sheets of paper. This goes out in the mail today. You'll get it in your mailbox by the end of the week. Anybody that's on the subscribing at my every zine level. Second thing to talk about, Behind the Zines number 18 is in the process. It's in the works. It'll be out in September. I need to finish the layout. I have one piece I'm still waiting on, but I have most of the pieces in, and I just need to get them all laid out and figure out page count and page order and all that. And then I need to do my writing, because I always write like a little intro. I'll probably write a little couple things. So I got a couple weeks to get that done. Here's the cover. I like the cover a lot. The theme for this issue is using zines to change the world. So I like that there's like a postal delivery person delivering mail like to the earth. I like that. It's really cool. And I love space. I love the earth. I love zines. You got them all going on here on the cover. So that's pretty cool. Last thing I want to talk about, and the most important thing I want to talk about for this video, is Chicago Joe, my novel I've been working on since the beginning of the year. The writing is all done. The editing that I'm doing now is inserting illustrations and getting my page count correct and all that, getting the copyright page and things like that. The actual story is all written and done. So I have an artist working on the cover. I'm going to have another artist designing the cover and doing the layout of the cover. But for the inside, for the month of June, and they just finished now, I had two different illustrators working on drawings for the inside. So the whole story is 31 chapters long, and I think 27 of the chapters, 28 of the chapters have illustrations. So a lot of different drawing. Originally, I was just going to have one artist do all of it, but then I got to talking with him. It's a guy named Patrick, and we were talking about, well, what if we had two different artists? Because he's like, I always like it when there's two different artists doing stuff, which I hadn't really thought about, but it is kind of cool, and it lightens the workload for each of them. They each only have to do half as many drawings, and that way you can make your deadline, right? But it is actually kind of cool having two different artists and two different styles. So not every single chapter, but most of the chapters you're going to read, and there's going to be like one drawing. And most of the story exists in your mind, and you can imagine, you can think about what you think a particular character looks like, or how you visualize them, how you visualize the way that, I don't know if visualize is the right word, but how you imagine that they speak and they talk, and just their overall persona. But it is kind of cool to have two different artists, giving their take on what they think the scene looks like. So I thought I would share some of the illustrations today. So let me go ahead and pop up one. So the two artists that I'm working with, one is named Patrick and one is named Jack, and they're both two good friends of mine from back in our Chicago days. We all knew each other 20 years ago. So I'm going to show you a couple of Patrick's illustrations first. So here's one of them. This scene takes place in chapter 1. The name of the book is Chicago Joe and the Ancient Pages. This is, on the left is Chicago Joe, our main character. If it's not obvious enough, it's an Indiana Jones knockoff, right? So he's got the Indiana Jones style hat, which, by the way, if you type in Indiana Jones hat on the internet, like a million websites will pop up showing you pictures and places to buy it. Technically, what the type of hat is, it's a high-crowned, large-brimmed, sable-colored fedora. That's what the hat is. And so I make a couple of jokes about that throughout the book of like, hey, man, like, look at that wide brim, nice fedora, but it's basically a modified fedora. But anyway, sometimes in some scenes he's wearing it, some scenes he isn't, but that's kind of his signature look. Down on his hip, you'll notice on his right hip, he's got like a little cloth pouch. That's where he keeps his Zinester multi-tool, which comes into play a lot in the book, and I'll show you a picture of it here in a second too, but that's basically his little multi-tool device that can do whatever I need it to do as a writer. I'm like, oh, I need him to break into this door. He can use a multi-tool. I need him to have a flashlight. His multi-tool has one, so as a writer, it's a very convenient thing. Anyway, so that's Joe on the left, and then on the right is Jana, who I would say is a main character. She's not the primary character, but she's definitely one of the main characters. There's kind of like 5 or 6 main characters. But this first chapter, the first scene, they're meeting up at a coffee shop they've never met before, and he's asking her for help because he's about to discover something big, but he just needs a little bit of help getting that last bit of information, last bit of clues that he's looking for. So this was drawn by Patrick. And then here's another illustration by Patrick. This is in chapter 6. Again, that's Jana on the left, and then Joe kind of there in the middle. So it's the two of them that were just at the coffee shop the day before. And then on the right is a character named Chops. And I'll tell you all about him in my next video. I'll tell you about all the characters. But basically, he's a little bit of an antagonist. He's coming in from out of town, and Joe and Chops are both looking for the same thing. And so it's a bit of a competition. It's a race. Who's going to get it first? And so this scene here is not quite a fist fight, but it's like a step away. It's like it could very quickly escalate into a fist fight. So that's one thing. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I like it. So there's a couple illustrations from Bonus. Excuse me, from Patrick. His nickname is Bonus on his website. He goes by Bonus. Here's an illustration from Jack. Jack lives up in Denver. He's also a good friend of mine. This is the Zinester multi-tool. So all those little things that are sticking out, those all fold up into it. And does this thing exist in real life? No, it exists in my imagination. And like I said, it just serves whatever purpose I need it to serve in the story. If you guys ever watch Star Trek, in Star Trek they have these things called tricorders, and their tricorders are used to scan. They're used to like do medical information. Like if someone, I think I broke my arm. Oh, let me use the tricorder. They can scan to see if you broke your arm. They can use the tricorder to scan the air to see if there's arsenic floating in the air. Whatever. And like the writers, I remember one time where someone asked them at like a Comic-Con, like, oh, what is it? What is a tricorder though? And they're like, it's whatever we need it to be. So I took that mindset with the Zinester multi-tool. What do I need? Okay, whatever you want. It's got a it's got a stapler, it's got a staple remover, it's got a nail file, it's got a flashlight, it's got a magnifying glass. Like anything you could imagine it does. Like in our story, that's what it does. And of course you want to have it. So Jack drew this for me, which I love this drawing. And here's another drawing from Jack. The story Chicago Joe, it takes place partially in made-up realities and partially like in real, actual realities. So some of the scenes take place at a place called I don't know how you pronounce it actually, Prelinger Library. It's a library in San Francisco, and it's a real place. It's a real place that I've never been to. So I kind of just made up what I think this place looks like. And then I told Jack what I think this place looks like, and he came up with this drawing, which this is just sort of a reading room library. There's bookshelves, there's little trinkets everywhere, and I'm like, I want it to feel cluttered, I want it to feel kind of messy. So my apologies to the people at the actual library if I made your library look too messy. But there's like zines down there on the floor, and this is a scene where they're basically ransacking the place looking for one particular zine. So this is an illustration of that. So anyway, that's just a little preview, a little sneak preview for some of you guys to get an idea of where this book is going. It's a novel. It's going to be around 300 pages. But there's going to be like one illustration like kind of per chapter to kind of keep your imagination moving along with it. So similar timeline as Behind the Zines for Chicago Joe. I want to get everything done and laid out and the cover finished by the end of July, which is like 20 days from now. I want to get everything all done and get the files submitted, because usually it takes about 15 days, about 2 or 3 weeks to get everything done. So if I can get it in by the beginning of August, I can get the books back to me by mid-August. That's my goal. So I'll keep everyone posted, keep checking back, and I hope everyone's doing well. And I hope that makes you excited for the book. It's getting close, and I'm excited for it. So it'll be coming out soon. All right, love you guys. Take care.